Hello and welcome to another episode of So What Do You Actually Do? In today's episode, we got the chance to talk to Gurpreet. Gurpreet works as a cloud technology engineer for Fannie Mae. She graduated from James Madison University with a Bachelor's of Business Administration and a concentration of Computer Information Systems. Fannie Mae is a government-created entity that works with lenders to provide affordable housing loans. Please listen to this episode as Gurpreet describes her job, what she does on the daily, and what skills that are needed for the job to be successful. Stay tuned until the end. What do you actually do in your role as cloud technology engineer for Fannie Mae?
So in my role, my day-to-day is a lot of support work. So support work is an issue that comes in. I'll be internally working within our company to resolve that issue. My team specifically works on one AWS service, which is called AWS Glue, and I will handle tickets that come in. An example of a ticket is a team needs help. Say their server is too big, right? Then you can modify the sizes to be most cost effective. So they might need that server to be downsized. So that's like an example. So I do a lot of support work like that. And then I also work on a lot of automation. So one example of that would be every morning someone has to manually go in, log into the servers and do that to start the server. So instead of having someone manually do that every morning, we created automation scripts, and that saved our team a lot of time and effort. Currently, I work East Coast hours because my company is based on the East Coast and I live on the West Coast. I start work in the morning at 6 a.m., but like on the East Coast, it would be 9 a.m. And then I end at 2, which is like 5 p.m. I like to work in those hours because that's the most active time period when everybody's logged on and able to collaborate more during those times. But if there is ever deployments like to higher environments where I would need to log on after hours because it has to be done once the servers are down and not a lot of people are using them. So sometimes that stuff will come up and you'll have to do like support work like throughout that, I would say. But there are times where you'll have to work late and be able to support whatever it is that's going on because you have this one thing that needs to get done. I wouldn't say that's often. I think for the most part, my work is really flexible.
So you mentioned, I guess, two different things, that during the week you're having to deal with either tickets that are being submitted for cloud issues, or there are some sort of long-term projects that require deployment and working with the project team.
Yes.
And that's happening throughout the week simultaneously.
Yeah. Both are always like happening simultaneously. So yes.
Okay, cool. So what kind of programs do you use in your job normally?
For a lot of our ticket tracking, we use Jira and Confluence. That's for a lot of our documentation. And then in general, for all of our automation work and everything, we use a lot of tools. We use Linux, we use GitLab, we use GitHub, we use Bitbucket for a lot of document storage. We use Python pretty often just for our scripts and everything. And then we use all the Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say are some skills that are needed to be successful?
Yeah. So I would say in school, a lot of my coursework did not correlate with what I'm doing now. I think you would hear that from most people. A lot of people tend to do a lot to get their major, and then when you start working, you have to learn something totally different to really do your job. If you wanted to get into this field, I would really recommend looking into any of the cloud certifications. That would be the best way to get into this field because you would have more specific knowledge of even more than graduates that have computer science degrees. Any sort of programming is helpful. Knowing programming languages. Python is a good one to know, using like Linux servers and everything. And being able to understand like the different cloud service providers and how cloud architecture works is a really good thing to know too.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned it right on the nail. Most people that I've spoken to have always said, including myself, what we've studied is very different. It's like 20% of the real world application.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it is through licensure, or even sometimes internal company boot camps that they have for their specific softwares, yada yada.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always like that.
How much does someone in your role and experience normally would make?
I have about like 2.5 years of experience. I'm also based out of DC area, so salaries vary a lot by location. I think someone in California where I live would make a lot more. But I currently make around 100K.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for responding to that. That really helps for most people to know kind of an expectation of, and especially the geography plays a huge role.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, Gurpreet, thank you so much for your time. You've enlightened me and most likely enlightened a lot of people. So, and thank you again for tuning in from the West Coast. We have a 3-hour difference here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you made it to the end. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode. If you're interested to the long version, please check out below. We have the link to the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.